news, current affairs, facts and opinion. Their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. McIntyre Report. Jamie McIntyre reporting here live for Australian National Review Independent Media, originally founded in Australia. Follow our 24-hour news headlines, ANR.news. Breaking news, the CIA has reportedly questioned the credibility of Israeli intelligence alleging an Iranian plot against President Trump, while US officials suspect that the warning may have been intended to influence his Iran policy. Obviously, there's elements in the CIA that are anti-Israel, and speaking out, but yes, anyone in the know would know that, of course, it's Israel claiming that Iran wants to assassinate Trump all the time, etc. And Israel would love to assassinate Trump and then frame Iran to start yet another war. Benjamin Netanyahu's policies are fueling the war in Gaza and drawing growing international criticism. Turkey's foreign minister argues, yes, that would have to be true. Flock Safety CEO says the company isn't building a surveillance state, but a future designed to make people feel safer. Well, let's ask people, do they really want flock cameras everywhere? Jared Kushner is headed to Israel next week for high-stakes Gaza talks as the White House pushes ahead with the next phase of its Gaza plan, despite tensions with Benjamin Netanyahu. So obviously, the pro-Zionists in Trump administration aren't happy with Netanyahu. He obviously doesn't want to agree exactly to US plan. So what's really going on there? California lawmakers advancing a bill that would add Jewish as an optional ethnicity category on state demographic forms, potentially making California the first state to formally recognize Jewish identity in a state ethnicity data. Iran has reportedly struck 2 tankers in the Strait of Hormuz using underwater drones. The first time they've used this tactic against commercial vessels. President Trump stopped short of endorsing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as Israel's elections approach. I believe that's because his opponents of Netanyahu have said, please don't interfere. It will decrease our chances. Bill Gates is warning that global water shortages could trigger the deadliest humanitarian crisis in history, billions of lives potentially at risk. Well, you know, I mean, the billions of lives that you've vaccinated to death, or millions at least, Bill Gates. Benjamin Netanyahu calls Britain the first Islamic republic with nuclear weapons and declares Israel's making sure there won't be another one like that in Iran. What a load of bullshit. I think we know, dickhead Netanyahu, that Israel is behind the destruction of the UK, Britain, Western Europe, and Australia and America by flooding them with mass immigration and Islamic immigration. We know what you're up to. And you are then using that as a pretext to say, stand with Israel, we'll protect you. What? Protect us from ISIS, Islamic extremists, Al-Qaeda, the ones that you created, you fund to scare us, to do terrorist attacks in our own country. I'm pretty sure we'll be just fine without you, Netanyahu. Newly released Jeffrey Epstein emails reportedly show former Duchess of York Sarah Ferguson tried to connect FBI Director Kash Patel with a British socialite just weeks after he took over the bureau. Who really cares? Let's look at some of the interesting stories. This is quite concerning.
I'm talking about what on earth ASIO was doing, inviting a foreign head of state into ASIO's principal office in the heart of our capital. What was the purpose of it?
Senator, the President was a guest of the Australian government.
Yes, but what on earth was he doing in the headquarters of our national spy agency?
Senator, ASIO maintains relationships with many partners domestically and globally. The nature and the benefit of those relationships is not something I'd be prepared to dwell on or in fact go to in a forum.
This isn't
public.
This isn't Mossad. We're talking about the president, not a member of the security of Israel's security agencies or spy agencies. We're talking about the president of a foreign state, not our country, a foreign state. The public deserves an explanation for why our nation's principal spy agency was inviting a foreign head of state into the headquarters of our spy agencies and giving him a secret briefing. What was the purpose?
Yeah, it's a very good question. That at least some of this is starting to come out. Why? Probably something to do with that ASIO answers to Mossad and the Five Eyes intelligence agencies. But yeah, what is Russia going to be invited into the headquarters? China, Iran, Indonesia, like other countries? No, there's only one country. That, of course, would be Israel. Treat us like dicks.
Gillian, we're losing control of the narrative. We're going to have to do something. Don't worry, I have a plan. We're going to infiltrate the government, take over the media, take control of the healthcare sector, manipulate the education system, and ban all forms of speech. Geez, that sounds like quite a plan. Did you come up with that all by yourself since Bondi? No, actually, July last year. Bondi was just a lucky coincidence. You are a solid investment by the Israeli government. Oh no, the Israeli government doesn't fund me. The Australian taxpayer does. It's just a cool $1 million a year.
Satire is important, but true. Good to see other citizen journalists waking up to the Israel takeover of Australia. This is just a little over a year ago. We thought it was just a conspiracy theory. And two, we hosted the Free Speech Summit, first annual Free Speech Summit and Independent Media Awards in the Gold Coast in July last year. And leading up to the event, we started getting emails from Israeli activists emailing all our speakers and demanding they do not speak. So much so, they also then had the event cancelled at the Star City Casino. That's the power they have. No other government on the planet tried to stop a free speech summit going ahead in Australia except the Israeli lobby. They're able to contact Star City, have enough power for the Star City Casino to cancel a 2,000-seat theatre for that event. It was going to be hosted. We had to scramble and find a smaller event venue in the last few days. And they also had the power to contact immigration and have some of our speakers coming from America to speak at a free speech summit banned from entering the country. What were they so scared of? What are they so scared of that a free speech summit might talk about what Israel's doing to Gaza? Are they scared of that? Like, how do they have that power in Australia? And ever since then, it obviously just confirmed that our conspiracy that they were in control of Australia, a significant influence, undue influence, foreign influence upon our nation, that they do. And now you've seen over the last 12 months that become more evident and more people wake up to that. We warned about this, of course, for many years. Australia should be an independent country with independent foreign policy, and any lobbyist, Israeli or not, should be booted out of the country, not tolerated. That's just my view. I don't know what you think. You think we should bend over backwards and be taken advantage of by Benjamin Netanyahu, like child killers, satanic pedophile elites? I don't know. Is that what you want for your country? I certainly don't think so.
Did a Jewish U.S. Army engineer take classified U.S. military documents home and let an Israeli intelligence officer photograph them? The answer, of course, is yes. This is Ben Ami Kaddish, and in the 1980s, while working as an engineer at the U.S. Army Arsenal, he passed classified American documents to Israeli intelligence. The material covered U.S. missile defense systems, nuclear weapon design, and the F-15 fighter jet. His handler was Yusuf Yagor, the same Israeli intelligence officer who ran Jonathan Pollard, who is also spying for Israel to steal nuclear technology from the United States. For years the operation went undetected, but was finally caught, and for all of this, he was only given a fine. That's right, the United States Department of Justice did not pursue any prison time. At the time, there were 2 American citizens, the same Israeli handler, classified U.S. military secrets handed over, and almost no consequences. And all of these men involved are looked at as heroes in Israel. And somehow there are Americans today that think our relationship with Israel is beneficial.
Yes, it's good to see people are waking up to what's going on. What can be done about it? Well, my friend Anthony Robbins, a mentor, has always said the first step to creating change is awareness. and awareness is critical. So the Great Awakening is awareness of a problem that we have. We have undue influence. We have those seeking the far-east agendas, which is a one world totalitarian government, the Greater Israel Project, and then using the clergy plan to destroy the West. Why destroy the West? Well, if you want to take over the world and be a one world government and enslave us goyim, you need to defeat particularly white Christians, and particularly white Christian men. You destroy their culture, destroy their countries from inside out. You flood them with mass immigration, and particularly very poor immigration. And you flood them with machetes and weapons. It's like Melbourne has machete bins now, trying to get rid of them. It's like in 1965 when they did a coup Israel using America to overthrow Sukarno, the president. They flooded the country with weapons and machetes, created a list of any supporters of the Sukarno elected government. You kill them, you machete them to death, or we'll kill you. Gruesome, 1 to 3 million people genocided. So whenever you find a genocide, something, well, that's just after they've done the Guatemala coup and just before they ramped up Vietnam and genociding millions of people there. Wherever there's a genocide, there's a banker behind it, a pedophile banking family. Generally, that would be called the Rothschilds.
What's happening in Venezuela right now is not from a natural disaster. The same weapon system that caused the earthquakes in Haiti is the same weapon system that was used in Venezuela just before the earthquakes. But Chavez warned of this weapon system all the way back in 2010.
Chavez is saying that the U.S. Navy launched a weapon capable of inducing a powerful earthquake off the shore of Haiti. He adds that this time it was only a drill, and the final target is destroying and taking over Iran.
Did you catch the last part? He said the final target will be Iran. Same trafficking operation that they had in Haiti to send kids to Epstein Island is the same thing they're doing in Venezuela now.
What's going on is that apparently they are taking traumatized and orphaned children to use for child trafficking.
Hermanos, si tienen familiares que tenían niños allá en La Guaira, lo más recomendable que yo les digo ahorita, vayan para allá, porque si sus familiares y sus hijos quedaron a la intemperie, hermano.
Yeah, deeply concerning. Is it just a conspiracy? Can they create earthquakes? Well, HAARP is evidence to be true, and weather weapons have been around and have been proven. And Israel boasts of having a super weapon that it can do what it wants. And weather weapons are a perfect method to do that. Does that mean that the recent horrific Colombian earthquake was a weapon? We don't know that yet. We haven't investigated that. But it certainly is something that needs to be investigated. Venezuela, Haiti, and many other, these so-called natural catastrophes. Are they natural? They seem to happen to nations. They did a coup, basically rigged the election to get rid of a Colombian president that was very anti-Israel, and they attacked his country. And now they've installed a puppet Israeli, pro-Israeli president in Colombia. So Israel is very concerned in every country around the world. They want to dominate it and pro-Israel. And that should concern you if you're in Australia and think that they don't have undue influence in Australia. Well, it's pretty obvious they do. Just check this out. Is it pathetic? How bad is Australia falling? So if you say from the river to the sea, you'll be jailed for 2 years like that young girl there. For what? Defending, being against genocide is now a crime, and you don't think Israel controls our country? Who is investigating the Bondi massacre? First of all, who was the number one suspect in terrorist act or massacres? I don't understand how the world works. Majority of terrorist activities are conducted by Mossad. So the number one prime suspect in any massacre is going to be Mossad straight away, before you do any investigation. But so the prime suspect, being Israel, Mossad, intelligence agents for Israel, is the same government that's took over the New South Wales police investigation into Bondi massacre. Why are we letting a foreign country take over an investigation in our country? in Australia when that country is the prime suspect in the massacre of Bondi? Very convenient, isn't it? You just take over the investigation to make sure that they don't find that you're the guilty party. I mean, this is absurd. It's been happening for a very long time.
An Israeli tourist in Bali, which is already weird because people with Israeli passport cannot get a tourist visa in Bali, and Indonesia doesn't even recognize Israel as a country, left a 1-star review because a restaurant in Ubud had a Palestinian pita. In the review, the Israeli specifically mentions the pita. This is how the pita is on the menu, and this is the entrance of the restaurant. I don't know you guys, but I really want to try this place. So go to IHRA, support local businesses, give them a 5-star review, and free Palestine.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We'll be doing a report soon on the McIntyre Report about the infiltration of Bali by Israelis. Of course, in Muslim, who is the biggest Muslim nation on the planet, there's a loophole, and they're banned from Malaysia, but they're getting into countries using their dual passport, another passport of another country. But there's a lot of evidence that's been sent to here at Australian National Review, and we broadcast out of Bali, Indonesia, for many of our episodes, of infiltration by Israelis, buying up businesses and properties in Bali, travel agents, networks, and to open the floodgates to get as many Israelis into Bali as possible. I don't think this is something that Bali wants or Indonesia should have. These people infiltrate and try and take over and utilize corruption to take over nations. And the last thing people want is the global refugee camp of Bali, the one safe haven many people are moving to, is to have unwanted, welcome, parasitic guests from a state that thinks it's chosen by God, biblical, and it's okay to genocide children. I'm pretty sure that's not who you want as your neighbor.
The fact that we're not allowed to talk about good things of Hitler, bad things about him, he was pushed nonstop by Hollywood media. My entire life is just the face of evil. But there's guys like Mao, Stalin, they weren't. It was just like you couldn't even, like I can say something good about Stalin, Mao. If I say something good about Hitler, you're going to get banned, censored. You know, they always told us about the book bannings. They never told us that he was burning tranny books and trans clinics and stuff.
It gets way worse than that. Not only was Magnus Hirschfeld and a bunch of these, he had the Institute of Sex Sciences. He's the first one to coin the word transgender. Magnus Hirschfeld had a personal collection of penis enclosed jars from mentally ill people he cut off the dicks of. He had jars of them.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. And he was developing a masturbatory curriculum to specifically target young German boys.
Just like they're doing now.
Because he wanted to prostitute the German people. So you got to understand, in the 1930s, Berlin was a cesspool. It was the most decadent place on the entire planet. The first thing Hitler did when he came to power was he saw what they were trying to instill in their government schooling, because we know who all the bankers had control. So righteously so, the German youth, Hitler got all of them together and they collected all these books and destroyed them. The entire library that was dedicated to trying to destroy the German people. He also closed down the art school Bauhaus. Bauhaus was an art school that was dedicated to destroying beautiful art and creating this new set of values.
It's very interesting, isn't it? What's the truth of history that we've been told? Burning the books, Hitler was evil. Yet the people telling us this, the Rothschilds and the media, we know are evil and lie about everything. Maybe Hitler was evil. But maybe we should check that out for ourselves. Maybe we should do some independent fact-checking, wouldn't you think? All of us. Not just accept it's not a genocide. You know, they claim and deflect back to 77 years ago to the only genocide that we're allowed to talk about, Holocaust. But the one right in front of us in Gaza, that's not a genocide. So the people telling it's not a genocide, lying about something we can see with our own eyes, are telling us the truth about 6 million Jews were gassed by Hitler, and Hitler's a really bad person. Well, Hitler seemed to speak very well. Hitler seemed to have people like John F. Kennedy looking up to him as a hero. Hitler was kind of Time Magazine of the Year award in 1939. Hitler restored Germany from absolute destruction by the Rothschilds and their death cult to a booming economy and a happy nation, which seems to happen when you boot these parasites out. Indonesia, Independence Day coming up on Monday, just a few days from now, booted them out through the Suharto regime and has started economically doing quite well ever since, up until recently, where now they're being attacked financially with their currency, which I dare say has something to do with Israel. Russia, Putin come to power, booted out the oligarchs. Russia, it's not perfect, but it's become wealthier, more successful as a nation ever since. Get rid of the parasitic bankers and you seem to do well. If people understood, Israel means you pay large income taxes. Rothschilds invented income taxes. Israel means you'll be tied up in endless wars and waste taxpayer money. Israel means they'll flood your country with immigration. You have high property prices, unaffordable living, and you'll lose your national identity and you'll create social tension and violence on your streets. That's what Israel means. So if you want to stand with Israel, like Pauline Hanson does, like most of the politicians in Australia, Pauline Hanson has a little Israeli flag there. So I thought you were Australian, Pauline. I thought you were representing Australia. Why are you standing with Israel? The very nation that wants to eradicate us white people, hates Christians, wants Muslims and Christians to fight each other, wants to brainwash us that Muslims are the problem, as Israel funds and recruits Islamic extremists like ISIS to do terror attacks as their proxy army, so we get scared and they can remove, do a Bondi massacre and then remove our rights and push in even more strict anti-Semitism. It was very convenient that this all benefits Israel. September 11th benefit Israel. Bali bombings benefit Israel. Port Arthur massacre benefit Israel. That Australians one day, when they want to take us over, have no guns to defend ourselves against Israel. But by all means, Australians, remain confused and you keep standing with Israel. We'll be back after this break.
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. Jamie McIntyre reporting live for Australian National Review, independent media, originally founded as a newspaper in Australia 2013, upset the globalist control of Australia. Not too happy with us, censored ever since, targeted. But our journalists are fearless. Don't answer to anyone. No corporate money telling our journalists what they can and can't say. Just the truth. If we ever get it wrong, we're happy to admit it. But unlike fake news mainstream media in Australia, which are now suing the arse off for their lies and attempted character assassination of myself and others, is unlike fake news media. We don't set out every day to deliberately deceive and trick you and push nonsense. I mean, they're not even media. They're corporate organizations controlled and owned by a bunch of banker-wanker pedophiles.
Things I've seen, Gemma, you wouldn't believe. Nobody could. They took Madeleine McCann. I've seen the snuff film. I've seen their faces. And now they know I know. Prince told me he knew they killed Michael. He said Michael is going to blow the whole thing open. The Neverland stuff was all set up to discredit him. And when he wouldn't back down, they pumped him full of propofol and made it look like an accident. Prince said they'd do the same to him. He said, listen, Prince, mate, I'm going to make sure the world finds out. Alright? I don't care if they kill me. They have to kill both of us, innit? They're watching me. I know it sounds mad, but there's this car. Been sitting outside my flat for 3 days now. Same one. Never moves. And yesterday, this new doctor shows up. Yeah? Never met him before. Says he's been sent to check on me. Starts talking about some new medication I never asked for. I told him to piss off.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, that's unverified, but Amy Winfield, before she died, or they said she had drug problems, blah, 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 but it appears that's not the case. And yeah, well, you heard it there. Of course, the evidence about Michael Jackson being a pedophile is very flimsy. He was targeted, and that's what they'll generally do. If you're exposing the actual pedophiles, they'll target you and smear you that you're a pedophile. And what they did to Michael Jackson was just horrible. They turned the media against him and destroyed him. He was a man that wouldn't hurt a flea, loved children, tried to make a big difference in the world, but because he called out a certain group of people that were trying to own Hollywood and trying to control the world, they destroyed him.
The Jews were behind the invention and creation of these COVID vaccines that are going to save humanity now. The Moderna vaccine, the chief medical officer in charge of research and development, person who was in charge of putting it all together is the Israeli scientist Tal Zaks. Pfizer, who's the CEO of Pfizer? Albert Bourla, who is a Greek Jew. And then, who is the chief scientist? Is Mikael Dolsten, a Jew from Sweden. Both COVID vaccines that are now going to rescue humanity, both were created by Jews.
Well, look at there, straight from the former head of the Jewish Defense League's mouth. I wonder who the most immune to COVID-19 was.
COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews.
14 out of the top 15 countries with the highest COVID death rate were majority white countries. Huh.
The corona is for the non-Jews. It's not for Am Yisrael. It's not for the Jews. And you have nothing to worry about.
Anyways, for those of you that are too lazy to read the Bible, microdose it. Put God's word on your lock screen. Let God speak before the world does.
It's very interesting, and we've heard this before, that yes, it is true that Israel was behind the creation of the COVID vaccines, and many people are now dead as a result of that. How many more are going to die turbo cancers, strokes, heart attacks before even a 10-year period, about 5 years in? And what we feared is Australia's become one of the highest cancer rates for young people. Doctors are saying we're getting 8, 9-year-olds with colon cancer, never been heard of before. This is meticulous depopulation of white people, eradication. Do you think these people aren't evil enough to plan that? Well, do you think it was inadvertent, an accident that they already had in production COVID vaccines before COVID was even announced? They already had this plan and workshopped it many times before. Is that just inadvertent? He's saying they inadvertently, accidentally injected with a deadly vaccine for a pandemic that was no more than a bad flu. 4 billion people, but that was just an accident. We didn't plan that. It's planned, folks. It's deliberate. It's not a pandemic. It was a plandemic. Planned. That's just a reality. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's a known fact now. Who planned it? Well, I think they're boasting about who did it. Should we be surprised?
Stinky Donnie, back in your diaper, shit yourself again. Whole room gagging, little man stinking, bad boy, you need that spanking. Who's the boss? It ain't the vote. Who's the boss? Follow the note. 8-pack, 50 states to Tel Aviv, no cash, no quote. BB never paid a dime, he just squeezed the throat. United slaves of the Holy Land, merge the forces like Bibi planned. Now your general salute a foreign command, and the Senate says relax, it's fine, it's planned. Fine. No war ever fought for your own gate. Always somebody else's hate. Free America, the people chanted loud. Cut the strings, burn the foreign shroud. 3 in the morning, he's posting cartoons of himself a king in the cape, man. That's a cry for help. Delete it, dog. Whenever released, the files trends to its peak. The loudest mouth alive goes suddenly meek. BB pulls the string and the puppets rehearse. Vance, Rubio, Hexeth all lined up to serve. Say G. He grins at the lens like he owns the whole turf. United Slaves of Israel printed on a shirt. Stinky Donnie, back in your diaper, shit yourself again. Whole room gagging, little man stinking. Bad boy, you need that spanking. Two old men, same stink, same disease. One holds the leash, one drops to his knees. A wanted man is handing your officers commands. He belongs in the cell next to the one with bloody hands. War criminals, say the real word. They killed the kids killed. Janu said complicated and kept the lid. They keep saying Iran 2 weeks from the bomb. Now your own people screaming, build it, stay strong. They ain't screaming for another front. They're screaming, free us from the stunt. They want the schools, the beds, the pay, not another Bibi holiday. Who's the boss? It ain't the vote. Who's the boss? Follow the note. APAC, 50 states to Tel Aviv, no cash, no quote. Bibi never paid a dime, he just squeezed the throat.
Well, Israel's losing the propaganda war and Iran is doing very well. Just highlight some simple truths that people relate to and people will listen. Is Iran a bunch of terrorist psychos that we're told by Israel? No, they're not. Very good people. An empire's been around for a long time. Great people. The Westerners are brainwashed that they're evil and Israel is the God's chosen ones. I mean, how pathetic. The side that's dropping bombs on children, sniping children in the head, commits nearly all terrorist attacks around the world, has a clergy plan to flood you with mass immigration and deadly immigration to spark up and divide your nations and take it over. Is that the side you want to be on? Or just possibly is that the side you should tell to fuck off? Is it that complicated, Australians? Do you have to remain confused for how many more decades until they bring you to your knees? And then you'll be begging them for a solution. They're one world government where you'll be a little slave. But as long as you got your beer and your meat pies and your footy, can't afford your mortgage, your kids can't buy a house, they can't get a rental apartment because there's 300 other people. Your money's inflated to be worth nothing. And they can't even say anything, can't even criticize a genocide. You realize that, how did this happen? Maybe we should have listened to people that put their money and mouth on the line to try and save Australia.
Top 5 things that were invented by Australians.
Number 1, which I was very surprised about, Wi-Fi. The wireless internet in your phone and computer was made by Australian scientists in 1990s. Number 2, Google Maps. The first version of Google Maps was built by a company founded in Sydney. Number 3, the pacemaker, the machine that keeps a person's heart beating when the heart has issues. It was first built in Sydney. Number 4, ultrasound, the machine that let doctors see you before you were born, was made in Australia in the 1970s. And number 5, penicillin medicine. Penicillin, the first antibiotic in the world, was converted into real medicine that could be used by an Australian named Howard Florey. Guys, let me know which one you think is the most impactful.
It's interesting. Australia has invented many amazing things, yet it behaves like a poor nation. It sells its resources, raw materials for bugger all instead of value adding them. Doesn't do manufacturing. It's just been a lucky country. But has that luck ran out? Are we being completely screwed over? Many people are fleeing. Many people have already fled to Bali. I live here in Bali myself. I left Australia 4 years ago. I saw the writing on the wall. Not that I don't love my country, but I predicted everything's happening now. We told you what happened, but it's nothing to what's coming. If you think you pay high taxes now, it's more coming. You think it's hard to borrow to get a house, it's going to get more difficult. You think it's hard to get a rental, it'll get even more difficult. You think there'll be a decrease in crime? No, there won't be a massive increase in crime. Your streets will be brought to scenes of violence that you've never imagined before. Middle class will become poor. Homelessness will increase everywhere. You'll be divided, controlled, and censored, and eventually figure out when it's too late, Israel did this to you. Yeah.
Bali. So stoked. Oi, I'll see you there. Yeah, save us a binners, all right? I'll just be a minute. Yeah, hi. Just here to renew my passport, please. Sure. That'll just be $412. $400? Oh, well, it's a pretty sophisticated document, you know, anti-fraud measurements. There's some cute little animals in here, and it's the Great Barrier Reef, and I haven't been there. Is that a pink lake? Oh, in New Zealand. Oh, yeah? How much is your passport? Oh, my passport. I think it's $206. Oi, Canada, what about you? Ooh, sorry, buds. Ours is $120. Sorry. America? 130 here, bro. Or UK? 110 Australian dollars. Germany? Yeah, das is good. $77. Spain? Oh, well, no. $33. 33? Well, not everyone's passport's as good as ours. Oi, Singapore? You have access to the most amount of countries in the world. How much is your passport? $52. Fair income. We have the most expensive passport in the world. Yeah, well, we're more than double everybody else. Ah, you got me. We were just hoping you wouldn't notice, to be honest. So do you want to go to Bali or not? Fine.
Punters politics, but everything will go up. Fines are going up. Everything rates you. Globalism is slow creeping communism. You must understand that. They can't just introduce and remove private ownership and have you a slave in a communistic system right up front. You'd actually get out on the streets and you go, I oppose this. I revolt. I will go to a protest rally. I will demand change. So they do it like boiling the frog in a saucepan of water that you slowly heat up and boils to death. They slowly increase property taxes, rates, passports, fines, taxes. And eventually people have to start selling, especially elderly people first, have to start selling their properties so they can't afford the rates, can't afford the taxes. And eventually it gets to a critical point where so many have to sell, the market crashes. BlackRock swoops in, buys up your properties, and then you can rent them. You'll be a slave, goyim slave. Who controls BlackRock and all these companies? Who is introducing communism and going to enslave your children if Australians don't speak out? And worse, many Australians are going to vote for the very people, sick, satanic people that want to destroy and are destroying your country. Wherever you're confused, they will win.
I've got the studies right here. There was a website that was tracking the random controlled studies. Here they are, showing 60, 70% efficacy of ivermectin. The same day you say there's no evidence, there was all kinds of evidence. Loved ones had to go to hospitals, had to sue hospitals. Just, would you try it? So I would want to know, to what extent were you involved in sabotaging hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and did you do that because you knew the only way you get an emergency use authorization for these drugs, these experimental gene therapy, was if there was no effective treatment, you couldn't get the emergency use authorization. So is that why you helped sabotage these cheap generic drugs in favor of remdesivir, which, by the way, nurses, are you aware of the fact that nurses called it run, death is near?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
What a wanker. Answer the questions, dickhead. We warned people about Fauci. We told people remdesivir. Yeah, run, death is near. It's also remdesivir is, one of the worst drugs. Like, they kill people with that. We warned people they were killing people with that. Former banned Ebola drug. It killed up to 50%, 54% people in trials. Some people want to dispute that. It's deadly. Why being did remdesivir when you could take ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, cheap alternative generic drugs that could have saved so many lives? We know the answers. Portland Fauci.
When that apartment building collapsed,
They didn't let American response teams or like emergency teams do all the digging. Jake, I'm not even kidding. Go look this up. They literally brought in the IDF to dig through the rubble. Ron DeSantis had a whole ceremony where he was like patting the IDF on the back. He's like, thanks.
How can they rationalize this? How can they bring the
Dude.
IDF to handle American matters? This is insane.
Dude, remember when John McAfee died and people said that he had this kill switch? It's believed that he had an apartment or information stored in this one little apartment in Bal Harbor. And that happened on the same night that John McAfee died.
What would you say if I told you a man was killed in prison under extremely strange circumstances, that his home was demolished right after his death, and that the search and rescue team was from Israel? That man was John McAfee, and he created one of the first commercial antivirus programs. He later became a fugitive, a presidential candidate, and a man who paid for his own private security because he believed rogue intelligence agencies and deep state governments were coming for him. He also opposed U.S. aid to Israel. McAfee also claimed to have massive amounts of damaging data, tweeting about holding 31 terabytes of corrupted data that he said exposed global government corruption. He was arrested soon after this for what the government said was tax evasion, but McAfee insisted it was their way of isolating him so they could kill him. And on June 23, 2021, a Spanish court approved his extradition to the United States. Hours later, he was found hanging in his prison cell. The very next day, a condominium building in Surfside, Florida partially collapsed, killing 98 people. Persistent rumors claimed John McAfee had stored hard drives of intelligence in a unit there. A foreign military search and rescue team was invited onto American soil for this domestic disaster. That team came from, you guessed it, the Israel Defense Force Home Front Command in Tel Aviv.
Coincidence? Those who know John McAfee was speaking out a lot, had a lot of information, so it wouldn't surprise me in the least.
In recent years, the key way in which the pro-Israel lobby has sought to conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism has been by pushing a new definition of anti-Semitism, known as the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, or IHRA working definition. Accompanying the IHRA definition are 11 examples of conduct that could be said to be anti-Semitic. Crucially, 7 of these examples refer specifically to Israel. Now, it should be noted that the key drafter of IHRA, Kenneth Stern, opposed the use of the IHRA definition as a legal or regulatory tool and complained about its weaponization by Zionist organizations to stifle pro-Palestinian speech. As in all Western countries, the pro-Israel lobby in Australia campaigned relentlessly for the IHRA definition to be adopted by the government here. And one of the most vocal proponents of that campaign was Gillian Segal. The lobby's efforts finally paid off when on the 14th of October 2021, Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced the Australian government would adopt the definition.
My government pledges to embrace the definition of anti-Semitism adopted by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance.
But what Scott Morrison didn't mention in that video is his close relationship with the pro-Israel lobby in Australia. This relationship goes as far back as 2003, when Morrison, who was then the leader of the New South Wales Liberal Party, visited Israel on a trip funded by what is considered by many to be the most powerful lobby group in this country, the Australia-Israel Jewish Affairs Council, or AJAC. Morrison is an ardent Zionist, and under his prime ministership, Australia adopted some of the most extreme pro-Israel laws and policies in its history. In 2019, Morrison was awarded the Jerusalem Prize by Israel's World Zionist Organization and 2 local pro-Israel lobby groups. The award was presented by Jeremy Liebler, president of the Zionist Federation of Australia, or the ZFA, which works closely with the ECAJ and AJAC.
True leadership shines bright. Yours is true leadership, Prime Minister. Yours is true friendship. That is what this prestigious international award is all about. It is my great honour, on behalf of the Zionist Federation of Australia, the World Zionist Organisation and the Zionist Council of New South Wales, to invite the Prime Minister, the Honourable Scott Morrison, to the podium to accept the Jerusalem Prize.
Jeremy, thank you for those incredibly kind words. For you to honour me tonight is very special.
As expected, when Morrison announced the government's adoption of the IHRA definition, the pro-Israel lobby was over the moon. In a press release published by the ECAJ, then-President Gillian Segal said that this was a watershed in Australia in the unending battle against anti-Semitism.
And some people still think Israel doesn't control Australia. So we have for this episode, folks. We'll be back with some more on the McIntyre Report. If you love fake news, there's always Channel 7, 9, 10, ABC, SBS to tune into, and Sky Jews. But if you like a bit of controversy, like to think a little and maybe just check out, there's a different story out there, one called The Truth, then join us more on the McIntyre Report, anr.news.